what's the first thing I do to resource when I feel a bit of loss of control. And typically when I'm resourcing in this way, I'm going to call it earthing or connecting to the earth. So one of the practices or rituals or remedies that you can invite in to reestablish that sense of belonging and reconnect more with your essential qualities that are beyond condition, like that loving, compassionate, open heart, is through the earth, through coming home to nature. Because what I believe to be true, what I've experienced, and from what you've shared with me, I'm guessing a lot of you have had this experience too, that when you're with the earth, present, whether you feel her as this divine mother or you just enjoy being outdoors, maybe you have a hobby that involves you being outside, like bird watching or hiking, there is a sense of presence that being in nature provides. And that's this open-handed, open-hearted quality of welcoming that I keep talking about. So why a lot of these naturescapes feel so good to us is because it's open. It's just saying yes, yes, yes. It's purely welcoming. And that's really beautiful. And so I think there's this deep nostalgia for us to feel that way with ourselves and in relationship with others. And sometimes our relationships with ourselves and others might be a bit sticky with past experiences or, past traumas that we keep kind of re-inviting in or re-triggering that we might be feeling. This quality of nature is kind of beyond experience, beyond like the past and what we might have for the future. It is like purely here, now, present, resourced. It is so open-hearted and loving. And I know I'm not the only one that feels this way. And as I was going through some of my books, everything I was kind of skimming across kept pointing to this earthing feel. So I thought, if you don't mind, I would like to do a couple of readings before we get into the meditation. I think of it as a little storytelling to, I think, get us into that response of earthing. And so we'll take that kind of quality of earthing into our meditation. So the first little reading I'll do is from a Jack Kornfield book that my sister just loaned me, actually, and it's called A Lamp in the Darkness, Illuminating the Path Through Difficult Times. And of course, the first page I open up to is page 13, and it's chapter 2, and it says, "The earth is my witness." Now this touched me so deeply that I knew this was my first talk of the month on resourcing, because in the beginning part of my self-inquiry journey, I found a charm that I just love that has a Buddha, and one hand is at his heart and the other hand is him touching the earth. And I knew immediately that I felt that, yes, my earth is my witness to this sacred journey, and that that earth is always holding me, and that I could return to that safe space. So the Buddha says, "Make your mind like the earth, which receives all things steadily." Make your mind like the earth, which receives all things steadily. So he goes on to talk about the Buddha story, and I'll just read a brief paragraph. It says, "On the night when Buddha vowed to remain in meditation until he became enlightened, it was on the earth that he took his seat. And as he sat under the Bodhi tree, all of his fears and doubts, all of his temptations and desires arose in him. The story tells that these difficulties arose in the form of Mara, an Indian demon who personifies doubt, difficulty, evil, terror, and temptation." So Mara challenged Buddha's worthiness, asking him, "Who do you think you are to sit on this spot and seek enlightenment?" Reconnecting with his dedication and compassion, Buddha reached down and put his hand upon the earth and said, "The earth is my witness." In his extremity, Buddha called upon earth to be the true witness to his value as a human being and his right to awaken upon that seat supported by the earth itself. When our inherent value or dignity as human beings is witnessed, whether by the earth or by those around us, it can transform our life. I often share from this book, The Radiant Sutras by Lauren Roche. It's a translation of the 112 Gateways to the Yoga of Wonder and Delight, an ancient text. So this is not new, it's just a beautiful translation. And this is one of the threads of wisdom, and this will often read like poetry. This is number 32, if you have the book. The senses declare an outrageous world. Sounds and scents, ravishing colors and shapes, ever-changing skies, iridescent reflections. All these beautiful surfaces, decorating vibrant emptiness. The God of love is courting you, light as a feather. Every perception is an invitation into revelation. Hearing, seeing, smelling, tasting, touching. Ways of knowing creation. Transmissions of electric realization. The deepest reality is always right here. Encircled by splendor, in the center of the sphere, meditate where the body thrills. To currents of intimate communion, follow your senses to the end and beyond, into the heart of space. All these beautiful surfaces. And lastly, before we get into the meditation, this one is a sweet passage from a book I've heavily tabbed that I very much enjoy. And this one is from Thoreau. He's talking about being touched by the beauty of nature and the world and how we've all had these experiences. And so he's saying Thoreau like this. In the midst of a gentle rain, I was suddenly sensible of such a sweet and beneficent society in nature. In the very patterning of the drops, and in every sound inside around my house. An infinite and unaccountable friendliness all at once, like an atmosphere sustaining me. Every little pine needle expanded and swelled with sympathy and befriended me. I was so distantly made aware of the presence of something kindred to me. Even in scenes which are accustomed to call wild and dreary, and also that the nearest of blood to me and humanness was not a person or villager, that I thought no place could ever be strange to me again. I love that sense of belonging right there at the end.